Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeremy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeremy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Whole Health Weekly. Tonight, we're going to explore some pretty good articles I found in a lot of different categories, so it'll be pretty cool. And tonight is episode number 33. So this is the last and final chiropractic principle recording. So in that light, there's 33 chiropractic principles that were written in 1927, not even by the discoverer of chiropractic, but one of the students of it. One of the things we've gone through all 33 principles as of tonight. So this will be pretty cool. They're pretty simple, but it's kind of fun for me to do. So that I have an actual recording of these awesome principles done in 1927, guys, and the stuff is still relevant today, which is amazing. Oh, I got to count. Julie, hello. How are you, kid? Hopefully your day's going well. So tonight should be pretty good. My office manager, Gina, she always gives me like latest TikTok trends of like what she's seeing online. So she gave me a couple ones that we could have a good conversation around. So we'll do that as well. Just remember to make sure we're subscribing. If you want to see all 33 chiropractic principles, all you have to do is go to each Home Health Weekly. And it's always in the beginning. And then so Julie says, are they written down? They are. If you just put in 33 chiropractic principles, there's a lot of places that have them written, a lot of the different chiropractic offices. They're in this book. We call it the Green Book. It's like a Stevenson's text is what his name's R.W. Stevenson. And he was a fantastic writer in the philosophy of chiropractic, because when it was going around, they were really figuring and discovering what the true power of innate intelligence is. I'm glad you brought that up too, Julie. Before we get into the 33rd principle, well, let me do this first. So we also have a podcast version. So don't forget that for our latest episode. We do Wednesday and Sunday night. We do 1% Trab on Sunday night. And then we do Wednesday, we do the Whole Health Weekly, where we go through articles. One of the things that I found was profound. That's why I love doing this, because you start thinking a little different. Isn't it interesting that, if you look at the world that we live in, that a lot of things are based on invention or innovation of the world that nature created, God created. The universe is all knowing. So like when you look at a computer, let's say, so that's kind of similar to, let's say, a brain. I use it as a lot of times, your human body has all these little functions of a computer. One of the coolest things I've noticed, though, and it's how we're going to have to approach it, but we have this new thing called artificial intelligence, right? So this AI we constantly hear about. Isn't that already created? Isn't that what I'm talking about? The innate intelligence of your human body. Isn't it the same? It is. And that's what's so fascinating is they're trying to create an artificial version of the innate intelligence within us, right? Now they're using it in different forms. It's not like they're trying to make, everybody be a computer, right? But at the same time, understanding that you're going to have they're trying to create a self-regulating computer basically that knows things to fix before you know. So always thought that was a fascinating philosophy. As we go forward, we're going to have, this time. The biggest thing is just like anything with a computer, with any new technology. Do we use it for our humanity or do we use it for nefarious purposes? And that, I think, will be up to us, as we understand it and as we grasp it. It's kind of like the internet, right? The internet opened our world to many, many things, but we also got some nasty stuff in there as well, right? It's so easy for porn to be, to a kid or whatever, right? Internet changed the world in a lot of different ways. So we have to be really strong in who we are as our consciousness and what is going to be able to do this, because I don't see it going away anytime soon. And we'll probably have a bigger discussion on AI and artificial intelligence and what, in my innate intelligence life, they can't replace what God created, right? And that's one of the things that is the constant struggle for all these people, looking into these things. Could it be a tool that's going to make life so much better? Maybe, right? It just depends on how we look at all that stuff. So sorry to get on my soapbox there. So hopefully you didn't get off for that. But I am going to go through the 33rd principle is tonight. 33rd chiropractic principle. Are you ready? Here we go from 1927. This principle is titled The Law of Demand and Supply. The law of demand and supply is existent in the body in its ideal state, wherein the clearinghouse is the brain, and the innate, the virtuous banker, and the brain cells, the clerks, and the nerve cells are the messenger. That's pretty cool. So, in the demand and supply, is the existence in the body in its ideal state, where the clearinghouse is the brain, the innate is the virtuous banker, right? Because that's where your energy would be. That's the energy. And the brain cells are the clerks giving away that energy, right? And then the nerve cells are the messengers to get who is coming in and requesting. So that's kind of a cool thought process as you go through. I really like, using the computer analogy now, right? 1927, bank could be good. But think about your innate intelligence or your human body as a computer, right? There's programs on this computer all through the entire thing. You got different ones for writing and math and whatever, right? The kicker is that those programs don't just run the computer, right? They don't just run the computer. Something has to do it. There's got to be a power source, right? So you have to have a power source, so you have to have that. Plus, you also have to run the programs. Well, how do we do that? Through innate intelligence. This intelligence within proves it because day after day, your heart beats perfectly. Day after day, your lungs take in exactly the amount of oxygen you need. Day after day, your muscles work perfectly in symmetrics. This is all wood. Everything's perfect. Remember that first, right? It makes it so that you can walk against gravity every single day, right? So that's the beauty and the power of understanding what innate intelligence is, and then being able to approach life that way. Because if we can do that, if we can understand the actual power of our human body and that ability to heal itself, then a lot of these decisions medically are really, really good. We'll go over a couple, tonight that, like, let's say, don't not use medical stuff, right? I had a patient this week. We've been talking about it. She became so anti-medicine that she's cost herself a little bit of health, situation. And that sucks. It sucks because, understanding how the human body works, sometimes those medical interventions could absolutely be the difference in helping your body or aiding your body at that moment. Knowing that we can bring that body back into your health status could be the way that we, get over a condition. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, especially if you start having the understanding of how the innate intelligence and holistic actually works versus chasing, right? That's what tonight's all about. We don't want to chase all kinds of stuff, all kinds of trends. It just gets you down a rabbit hole that doesn't make sense. It's very frustrating for most, right? So with that said, that was the 33 chiropractic principles. I'm so excited to do that. I'm going to keep doing Whole Health Weekly, but I'll have new cool quotes in chiropractic as we go forward, just to make sure it's all there. Okay. So with that said, let's go into the trends of the week. Let's see what we found. So this is social media health trends, the buzzing, the social media platforms. This is a good one. There's a strong focus on the negative effects of excessive social media use, especially in the Gen Z population. Recent posts on some social media areas have major concerns about social media contributing to feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, and loneliness among young people. Platforms like Threads, TikTok, Instagram are increasingly incorporating features to promote mental well-being, such as take a break, reminders, and mental health tools for creators. Brands are also expected to integrate some empathy-driven storytelling that addresses mental health challenges to resonate with audiences. So some of you in my holistic world probably don't do a ton of social media aspects of things, and that's fair. But sometimes you do. One of the things that we have to be careful of is a lot of things now aren't going to be advertising driven. They're going to be subconscious driven. So what I mean by that is nowadays, instead of like an ad that you can say yes or no to, you're going to actually literally be in a conversation with a fake person. This is actually no crap. If you like, you're going to have an AI bot, they're called. The people pay for these bots to actually have conversation. And because these AI things are getting so popular and powerful, they can basically have a conversation with you like you're talking to another person. Okay. This really makes it hard. It makes it hard for a challenge. They've already said that some of these AI chats and stuff, the kids are getting depressed because they're falling in love with the AI algorithm thing, right? And that says a lot about our society in general, because we've gotten so away ever since COVID. We decided that, we still haven't, it's been 5 years, and we still really haven't started interacting as much as we should again. Getting out. I see there's definitely an uptick in that. But as conversations go, as clubs and groups and different meetings, still people aren't doing it. And part of it, it's easier, right? The easier you make it, the harder it is to go out. I see it in myself all the time. I am the blessed one. I get to see all these awesome people every day. And I talk too much, right? So then it puts me behind on my schedule, right? But there's a reason, I always say, like my old Dr. Geimer used to say, you'll always miss them more than they will miss you eventually, is because I have social interaction all day long, right? But is it fair if my daughter's staying at home at, during the summer, or my other daughter's working, is it fair for me to be like, all right, well, I had all this social interaction. Let's not do any, let's just sort of like a bump in the log, because it's very, very easy to do that. So a lot of times we'll make very big efforts to just go do something, right? Um, Rachel had a patient and we went to Athens Farmers Market. There wasn't very many people there because we got there a little late, but it was still a fun trip to get out there, right? And so those are the little efforts, right? So make those little efforts. Get off the social media platforms as much as you can. Some of these you literally, without even interacting, could get all the information you need for the day in maybe 10 minutes. Right? You can scroll, you can do it. Dr. Matt and I talk about it. It's almost like it's hard to, worry about the news anymore when the X platform, which I stream to actually, it's so quick. It's like you get a lot of information in that time frame. It's when you get in the weeds of it that is tough. And the problem is like a lot of these social media platforms will keep you on with inundated stuff that people don't care about. Right? It's not going to impact. If it's not going to impact your life, then maybe it's not a thing. If you're going to bring you joy, then sure, read the article, right? But if it's not going to bring you any joy, why are we, sitting on these things that make no sense? So that was a good article. I think that there's something to be said about that. So just remember, limit that time. Sometimes it's very easy to get on there and just keep going. Okay. All right. This week, there's a focus on minerals and nutrition. Social media discussions, particularly from wellness influencers, are emphasizing the importance of minerals and health. And we've talked about them, right? Macro and micro. So this trend is gaining traction as a foundational aspect of wellness, which helps mineral-focused diets. It will be a key topic. Minerals like macro and micro minerals, think of selenium, zinc, those kind of situations. There's a lot to copper. Copper is another good one. These are all great minerals and different things that we need to have in our diet. A lot of times we don't get them as much because our soils are not as great as they used to be. The mineral depletion in your soil is one of the reasons. So like even if you eat good, you're still going to be mineral depletion. But things run so much better when you have these micro minerals. You have the trace minerals. Think about that. So you don't need a lot of it. You just need it in your life, right? So that's where super organic, growing your own stuff, very, very smart, right? Because you get more of those. And especially turning over your soil. It sounds nuts, but like learning it. Rachel and I have struggle bus this year in our garden. So whatever we get. It wasn't as beautiful as last year, but we're going to do a whole kind of revamp of our garden for next year. She's got a great idea. I was like, oh man, we should have done that years ago, but we're going to make it bigger where you can like have walking paths and, I have a big enough area for it. I was like, I don't know why we just kept it in a corner, but now we'll be able to like really take off, and hopefully it'll be enough where we can, take care of it really well. But the idea though is, and she has it, we got a neighbor down the road that has a bunch of cow manure. So we're going to go use that at the end of the season, get that in there, get a lot of these minerals in there, make your own soil super healthy. Okay. So just remember that those minerals, looking up minerals, see if your multivitamin has that in there, right? If your multivitamin does, great. If it doesn't, start finding some more so you can get the trace minerals. You'll hear that as a supplement. So trace minerals is a big one. Okay. Okay. Oh, I like this one. This is kind of what Whole Health Weekly is all about. So this one is de-influencing movement. So there's a movement that's called the de-influencer movement. This is discouraging overhyped health products and promotes mindful consumption and it's gaining momentum. This is particularly relevant in wellness spaces where users are skeptical of exaggerated claims of supplements or fitness products. It's happening a lot. There's a lot of good there are some really good supplements out there. But when you see it over and over again, there's some drugs out there. I'm not saying they don't work necessarily, but when they get away with the big claims of, cancer prevention and all these different ones, be very cautious of that. Because one of the things that happens is you're like, oh man, it gets rid of this cancer or that cancer. But we haven't done anything to the holistic human body to change how you're eating, any of those other things. So maybe it's not going to work, right? Or, it's just one supplement of many. And so people get over, because they do such a good job in advertising, people will pay a lot more money than they should. And that's one of the other big problems. I saw one time it's years ago, nothing on the market now. So this is not a dig on anything. I don't think it's on there, but there was one that was like $120 for like a beet powder. And I could have showed you six ones that were like, $25, and they were just as good, right? The quality, but they did such a good job of advertising. People were paying that like crazy. Is beet powder good? It's fantastic. It's one of the better supplements you could actually do, but $120. So there's a lot to that. There's a lot of like slide truths to a lot of different things. And that's one of the other, issues when you see it. It used to be very obvious when everybody knew what was on TV, right? You only had certain limited amount of television. And so you had, let's say, infomercials. Everybody'd see the same one. And so they were, people would actually, I would actually know what people are seeing in their world. But now I have to look up many of the different ones because everybody gets hit with different things. Okay. I can't think of one right now. We'll bring it back because there's definitely some very big pluses to. I'll give you a good example. There's definitely some good pluses to ivermectin. Definitely. Is it a catch-all? No. It's something to have in your back pocket, though. And as we get going on a lot of these different things, is it when utilized properly, is it awesome? Could be. Could be for you. It could be fantastic. So that's one of those that's out there. Fenbendazole, I'm not sure. There's not a lot out there, but the claims are very high, right? Because the claims are so up there, it makes it hard. It makes it a difficult thing because those are two ones that I really enjoy, though, that they're out there and people are understanding the knowledge, but are we using it correctly? And remember also, they're both drugs. They're not natural. So we want to make sure maybe we can find the alternative for those, right? Ivermectin, I believe. I'm pretty sure in my thing, ivermectin's like methylene blue, which is a little bit more natural than ivermectin is. So just to let you all know that. But at the same time, methylene blue is another one. Is it the catch-all be-all? Not necessarily. That's why we have to do the best we can with what we got, right? All right. So that was good. Hopefully that made sense. All right. Let's see. Let's see if there's any good ones. All right. Okay, so that's all I got for that section. Let us look now from here. I like to go to my favorite. Well, no, I'm sorry. Before we do that, we go into what Gina found on TikTok. Okay, so what Gina found on TikTok is we're going to go, are there supplements to help with focus and energy? because people are tired of going through the doing it with medicine. Okay, so focus and energy was the TikTok that you saw. There are many supplements that do focus, give you focus and energy, which is awesome question, especially on TikTok. But I'll give you a few. Caffeine actually is an herbal. Okay, so it is a stimulant, but it's also an herbal. It's not, you don't want to take a lot, just like everything else. But remember that it actually boosts alertness and concentration. If it's paired with the next one, it could be really good without the jitters. So if you took caffeine and a thing called L-theanine, I'll put that in the chat actually. So caffeine, L-theanine. So caffeine and L-theanine, that could be a really good situation for you. Okay. So they work together pretty well. And so what they're finding is you get the boost. And L-theanine's found in a lot of your junk with the fake sugar ones. The stuff you see at a gas station or, those kind of things. But if you can take this it's an amino acid. And if you can take it with caffeine, they work together pretty well to give you a better focus and alertness without the crash. Okay. One that's near and dear to my heart that not a lot of people do or anything or know much about is called rhodiola rosacea. So it's an adaptogen. If you remember what an adaptogen is. So an adaptogen is I like saying it's an herb that basically it kind of improves on all organs and functions of the human body. Think when you see the trending ashwagandha, those things, it's just an overall goodness to your body. So it helps to adapt all systems to a better function. Okay. So an adaptogen that is rhodiola rosacea, it actually could improve mental health and reduce fatigue. So it's good for mental clarity and fatigue under stress. And it says that it enhances cognitive performance and energy during demanding tasks. So that'd be a good tea, right? So that's always a good one. The other one that I would say that's known in the herbal world is Panax ginseng. So Panax ginseng can boost energy and cognitive functions as well. And it kind of helps your mitochondria. So that's always good. This one's kind of interesting because no one thinks about it. Omega-3 fatty acids, omega-3 fats, they're found in fish oil, but it's super good for brain health. And it can improve intention over time, but you have to, it's a longer process. B vitamins, all the B vitamins have some good stuff, especially B6, B12, and folate. Those are really good for energy metabolism. Creatine's kind of a new player on the market. I always say I really don't mind when adults do the creatine. I would tell you to not do it all the time. So your body, remember, anything we take, just like melatonin, if your body produces it, which is what creatine does, it's created by your body. If you take it in outside, your body will stop producing it as well when you stop taking it. So one of the things to do always is don't take it for a while and then reintroduce it. So just make sure you're taking, runs of creatine and not necessarily all the time. I really don't push it for kids. I still don't think it's a good idea because of the creatine of their body should be produced naturally. And if it's not being produced naturally, we got to look at all the other things. How are they eating? What are they doing? Right? So those are the things that we want to do. Another cool one that's kind of new to the mainstream is lion's mane mushroom. This one, guys, I'm not kidding. I've seen it and I've experienced it. This one, lion's mane, is pretty incredible, actually. So it's one of those that I would definitely give it a shot. I've tried it myself. All the mushrooms have a lot of good health benefits. Lion's mane has neurogenesis though. So a lot of times that's neurofunction. It improves neurology very, very much. And mental health function. Okay. So lion's mane, I've seen that work so good. And it's almost that's my next journey right after sunlight. I want to do some sunlight training, learning how to tell you guys the best optimal times to do like sunlight, because that's an amazing one. But lion's mane in the mushroom families are awesome. The problem is just like all health trends, you're going to see microdosing. You'll hear that. And most of the time, the problem is anything that alters your brain. I don't know if I would necessarily call that a good thing, right? Some people do. That's the same people that say marijuana is good for you. You're not going to hear me say that, because then you'd have to say, okay, whiskey's good for you. But that's my opinion on it. There's probably data that supports that says, okay, I'm wrong, but you're just getting it from me. But anything that alters your state of consciousness, I don't know necessarily if your innate intelligence would understand what to do with that. It's like saying you're healthy when you drink a bunch of whiskey. So lion's mane does not do that. Another mushroom that does, reishi mushrooms, fantastic. So those are some interesting ones to kind of play with if this focus and energy is a big thing. And then the last one on this list is ginkgo biloba. Ginkgo biloba has been known to do this for a long time. These are all things that you could do as far as teas go. You could take a ginkgo tea and really, improve a lot of things. And one of the things is we get away from the understanding of the stuff we already have prepared, right? So ginkgo, Panax ginseng, they're all fantastic. Just take them as a tea, right? You only need a few 100 milligrams of this stuff, right? But we go searching for something that's very like instant, like B vitamins. A lot of times, if you take a shot of B vitamins, it's like incredibly immediate that you will feel a burst of energy. That's what those 4-hour energies are all about. They have the L-theanine in it, and you have a boost of V vitamins with a bunch of crap sugars. Okay. So start doing these different teas as a regular basis. I'm even bad at those, though, guys. So remember that. It's not like I got a tea thing at the office. I'll do my coffee, but for some reason, I am not in the habit of doing the tea thing. It's driving me crazy. I really need to make it a cold tea in the afternoon, and that I think would help tremendously, actually. Oh, Aaron, what did you say? Philip and I have looked into all kinds of different mushrooms and their health benefits. Yes, it's crazy. I can lead you down the best path. I'm telling you right now. So start with, if you haven't, reishi mushroom, lion's mane. Those two will change your dang life. The problem is most people don't take what they call therapeutic dose of things. So try it a lot, right? And see if you notice a difference. Reishi, I noticed a big difference. In Chinese medicine, reishi is one of the ones they give to their guests, when somebody comes over. We're just not tea drinkers, right? So we're not those people that have a cup of tea with their friend. There's a reason tea time happened. Think about all those old things. There's a reason all these digestive things. There's a reason, like that's why our guts are messed up now, because we decided that none of that mattered. What mattered is that we eat while we're driving, watching a phone, and smoking a joint. That's what we found that mattered. And so once we did that, we kind of screwed up our digestive process. Okay. Tea is the same way. Let's take our time. Try a tea at night, right? Tea is like the easiest thing, right? Watching a TV show, no more pop. Switch it. Get it to a tea. Put some berries in it if you don't like, more bitter tea. But a lot of times your ginseng and your ginkgo biloba teas are fantastic. So Not a lot of side effects to that stuff, but the lion's mane thing, man, I'm telling you, I've seen some cool stuff. So remember all those. All right. So hopefully that'll help. Thank you, Aaron, for that. All right. So the next part of Gina's TikTok was very interesting. I'm going to try to walk you through this because this is pretty good. So there was a TikTok topic called healthy ranges versus old school medical ranges when you're looking at blood tests. And what it does is it centers on the distinction between the standard reference ranges used in conventional medicine and optimal or functional ranges advocated by functional medicine practitioners and naturopaths. And this discussion highlights a shift in from merely avoiding disease to optimizing health and catching imbalances early. Here's a breakdown of what these TikTok people are saying. So a standard reference range, these are like the old school medical ranges, typically set up by labs based on statistical average from about 95% of the population. They're designed to flag disease or severe anomalies, but they may include people with undiagnosed conditions or suboptimal health. That is so true. Okay. So now let's go to the optimal functional ranges. There are narrower and based on levels associated with peak health, longevity, and minimal risk. Now, here's the problem. A lot of these are also something you have to watch. Okay, I'll explain that in a minute. Because what they're doing is, I'll tell you in a minute, emphasizing the optimal range shows you where your body functions at the best, not just where the problem starts. So they use this example. For instance, a normal fasting glucose of 99 milligrams per deciliter, so 99, might be flagged as suboptimal because optimal is 70 to 85 milligrams to prevent metabolic disease. Let's see if that makes sense. Oh, okay. Yeah. So what they're saying is some of these test scores, instead of just getting them, actually studying them. Okay. One of the ones that we do a nutritional blood work at the office. I'm going to pretty much recommend everybody do it at this point. Like I'm going to put it on there and say, listen, the minimum we can do for you is get this blood work going. You know, it's worth it. The report is phenomenal. You have so much information on it. But what it does is it turns your situation around because it breaks down these different levels. Most of the time, we get this pass that we're healthy based on this range of, situation. Now, I'm going to tell you, partly that range, you have to be very cautious in how that is done. You can, yes. So Jessica says, do you check your cortisol level still? I believe the blood work does. Gosh, yes. I'm 95%. It does so many. I want to say yes. If not, it's easily put on there. But it does this really cool breakdown of everything, like how to eat. Here's the optimal. Here's the list of nutrition that could make you good. Okay. Everybody that's done it really likes it. It's a phenomenal tool, and it just starts you off on this really good path, right? And so what you do though, a lot of times is we don't break it down. Like, so here's an example. The amount of people that are that are on the border of being diabetic is, in my opinion, if you get blood work and you're close, or like, let's say you're significantly overweight or something, that numbers a lot of times that blood sugar number will be lower than when it goes crazy and goes higher. Okay. There's a reason. Your human body is responding to you almost being diabetic. So it's using everything it has to drop that number down. And so a lot of times these numbers can really mess with you if you don't look at the actual range. Or let's say you're 1 point away from, bad whatever, right? That is an indicator. Okay. And the more you understand and know, it should be something we study on a regular basis, being like, all right, here's this number. Let's say you go in and get your blood work done and you feel the best you ever have. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. As you're looking at all the different blood work, I feel really good, right? And let's say, here's a good example. I've had this happen. Somebody they had a major heart situation, and their cholesterol, the doctor at the time decided to drop the cholesterol significantly low. Like, I've never heard of it low, right? And I'm just like, that's concerning, just because of how he felt. He couldn't function. And I said, you need to call and you need to talk to that doctor and you together and see what you can do. The doctor was more than willing to do the work to make it balanced, right? So this is medical doctor talk, and when you're talking cholesterol and all those kind of things, but it's things to look for. And when your doctor is a part of your group of holistic, oh, it's fantastic. Now, if your doctor's not into it, find a new doctor. I don't care how far you got to go. But if it annoys them to ask questions and start taking care of you versus just taking whatever pill they tell you, then you need to find a new doctor. Honestly, it's crazy. It happens a lot, like with that situation, but ask those questions, especially to your MDs and stuff, right? They're the ones that are prescribing. They should understand like how we're going to go about improving this situation too, right? So that's what this whole thing's about. But I thought that was an interesting one because basically it's changing your mindset. You get blood work done, let's study it. You look and most people look, everything's clear. Great. That's about it. But that's why there's ranges, right? You can look, you're like, oh, my cholesterol's not high, but it's higher. Am I having stress at work? Could that cause my high cholesterol? By the way, it can. Like mental stress can do that. So maybe you look at that and then preemptively start doing stuff. Patient today is like, my liver enzymes were slightly elevated, but everything else looked good. I'm like, okay, you know what that does? Maybe you start looking at, and he eats really clean. So he's like, I don't know what that is. I don't even drink. I go, that's okay. You know what? That's cool. Let's find nutrition for your liver. Maybe you need a little choleretic and cholagogue. And if you don't know what that is, go back to my old podcast on activity herbs for your liver and gallbladder, right? That's what a choleretic or cholagogue is. Oh, good question. So the nutritional blood work is it's you'd have to ask me that. Oh no. I'm going to give you that. Jessica, I will contact you later. It does not cover it because it's holistic and natural, blah, blah, blah. But it's not bad. I want to say I'll reach out because, oh man, I want to tell you the number, but I can't remember it. I just tell people to do it, and then if they do it or not based on that. But what I'm noticing is people are understanding now because you do it once a year, once every 2 years. This kind of nutritional blood work is phenomenal. The knowledge you get is worth the price. I'm sorry, Jessica, but we do have it, so I will message you. But it's one of those where it's a little pricier than you would do in a normal blood work, obviously. But once you read through the whole thing, if you went and got regular blood work, you can compare the two. It's phenomenal. Like the knowledge you get out of it is great. Anyway, so sorry about that. That's a good question though. So don't ever say sorry about asking either. It's like, I wish I could remember. But yeah, so with this question, it keeps getting bigger too. So okay, so here's another good example of it. We can use vitamin D because that's a pretty easy one. So normal range for vitamin D is between 20 and 50 nanograms. Okay, so when you see it, but optimal could be between 40 and 60 nanograms. Okay, for immune health and mood. So when you get your vitamin D check, they're going to be like, oh, your number's at 40, or no, let's say it's at 39. According to the medical, it would be normal, right in the middle of the range. But where do I want to be? up to 40 to 60. We don't want to be high in vitamin D, but 40 to 60 is not high. It's right there, right? So what you want to do is look at that and say, okay, I need more vitamin D. Why? Hopefully, if you've watched a few of these, you understand why. The immune system. When your vitamin D is at optimal level, it is hard to get sick. Okay. And there's so many things to that. Hormonal situations, osteoporosis. You can get, all these different things. So make sure that's good. All right. Let's see another one that was really good. I didn't realize we did that part. Okay. So here's another one. Fasting glucose. The normal is under 100 milligrams per deciliter, but optimum would be 70 to 85 milligrams. So why not go for 70, 85, right? The concept of this is fantastic. So yes, this is how you live truly holistically. Looking at that blood work, using the testing to your advantage, right? I had a patient today. He's a big giant bodybuilder, hurt his arm, arm, neck, doing some lifting. Well, we've gotten a lot improved, like to the point there's no problem there almost. But he said to me before he met me, he said, hey, 6 months ago, I had this, they thought I was having a nerve pinch in my neck. So they're doing this, what they call a needle EMG test. And it's now that I met you, it's over. It's not there anymore. But the test is still scheduled for like next week. Because I scheduled it and it was 6 months out for that test. I said, what I do, I would get the test done. He's like, really? I go, yeah, absolutely. Like, what? There's nothing wrong with testing. There's never has been. It just gives you information, right? What if there's a little impingement somewhere in that shoulder and they could show you that, right? But if you want to do it, now necessarily do you have to, right? It depended on how much it costs you, right? Especially if the condition's over. But the idea of testing can be huge. Medical testing is one of the best things out there. Blood work and like all these different things. I will push those to the nth as long as the culture change to holistic is the way to go. All right. Hopefully I went through enough of that. Dang, I'm sorry. That was super fascinating. And thank Gina for that because it's very, very good. All right. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Is there any more? Okay, here's another one for guys. So normal range for men in testosterone level is between 300 and 1,000 nanograms. That's what they call it. But truly optimal is anything over 600. So, and that helps with energy and mood. That's what we want to aim for. Okay. So that's the ultimate idea, even though your normal would be if you're at 300 and you're dragging ass, but that is why that would occur. Right. So taking them, study them, beautiful situation. All right. All right. Let me look. So now the next one is, I got a few minutes left. I try to keep these at about an hour, but then we go into the awesome articles of Dr. Mercola. Dr. Mercola, if you ever want a website that's fantastic, he writes holistic articles. He's a medical doctor that has gets into all the health and wellness stuff you can possibly imagine. And I try to find really good articles he posted lately that we could look at. So the one I wanted to bring up is there's a couple new fake sugars. You know how much I love when they introduce fake sugar. They just change the name on everything. They went from high fructose corn syrup to sucralose to all this stuff. It's all fake. Your body doesn't like it. So remember that. So as they're doing these different ones, stevia is the only one that's kind of touched where I'm like, okay, maybe, right? But pretty much any other fake sugars, your immune system hates it. Your liver hates it. Your digestive system hates it. Okay. So there's a new one. They're called alcohol sugars, erythritol and xylitol. Okay. So that's what this article is about. So these two fake sugars, then there's touted as a safer alternative to refined sugar. Okay. So refined sugar is it's not as bad as most of these fake sugars, but the research shows that these alcohol sugar, erythritol, the sugar substitute, weakens protective brain cell functions, increases oxidative stress, and compromises the blood-brain barrier integrity. It also creates rapid platelet clumping, which is the platelets are the little blood. They're in your blood cells, or they're your blood cells that are out or in your bloodstream, and it causes rapid platelet clumping and accelerated blood clot formation, dramatically increasing stroke or heart attack risks. Like erythritol, xylitol increases the platelet activity as well, causing the same kind of situation. People diagnosed with diabetes, obesity, hypertension, or existing cardiovascular disease experience the most pronounced increases in these clotting dangers. Always replace artificial sweeteners with whole fruits, root vegetables, real carbs, while avoiding omega-6 oils for better overall health. So understand, replace that sugar, replace it with honey, syrup, anything with beet cane sugar, right? There are good alternatives that use real sugar. We have to get to that. One of these days, it's crazy. Erythritol and all these different ones show up and they give us problems, just like fructose, sucralose, all those kind of things. All right. Is there something you can take to supplement hormones when you can't produce it and can't take meds due to blood clots? Ooh, there is a ton of stuff that is a great question. My answer, I don't know. I don't know until we'd have to look at all things, right? And if the human body's amazing. So what you have to understand is we have to figure out why the human body is acting the way it is, right? And through that, you have to go through almost like a whole process, right? So I would say, without seeing it all, there's definitely things that you can do to help and enhance it, but oh man, hormones in the herbal world, if you come talk, there is some amazing improvements in herbals in female health and reproduction. One of the things I wasn't ready for when I got into being a registered herbalist was the massive amounts of information in female health that's just sitting there in this herbal world that no one really pays attention to. So we'll talk about that one, Jess. That would be very good. Yes, there's probably things that you can do for sure, right? So, all right. So with that said, so that was an interesting one. All right. So let's see if I can give you a good one. Oh, let's go over why zinc's so important. Let's do that one. This was a pretty good one. This article is by Dr. Mercola as well. Why zinc is important for your health and where to find it. Okay. Zinc is one of the most overlooked nutrients your body needs every single day, and falling short could quietly sabotage your immune system, energy, and healing. This is very true. Up to 15% of adults in the U.S. don't get enough zinc in their diet, putting them at risk for immune problems, hormone imbalances, and poor wound healing. Phytate in grains, I'll tell you that in a minute, and grains and legumes, which are like beans, right? Block zinc absorption, making plant-based diets a hidden cause of deficiency when zinc intake looks adequate. Symptoms of low zinc, like frequent colds, hair loss, or loss of taste and smell, are often misdiagnosed or overlooked because they resemble other conditions. Zinc supplements are useful if you are recovering from illness, but high dose over 40 milligrams daily can cause side effects, including copper deficiency or nerve damage. The most effective way to meet your zinc needs is through real food. Ooh, this one's good. I'll have to tell Rachel about this one, especially these foods: oysters, grass-fed beef, crab, and dairy, which are the more absorbable than plant-based or fortified sources. That's pretty interesting. We know how important zinc is through all the COVID stuff, right? We understood vitamin D, C, and zinc. I push that ad nauseum, no fake sugar, all those things allow your immune system to get, kind of going. There's a lot of cool things. Some things that enter quercetin. Quercetin help the zinc kind of get into the cells better. It's super important, and we're starting. Maybe we'll see. Michigan might not be we will probably hit the fall soon. That's when you want to really amp up your zinc. But like they were saying, if you have too much zinc, it starts competing against other things. If that happens, then you're having too much, kind of like magnesium. And so if you remember in the beginning of this, we talked about those like trace minerals, like copper and all those. Zinc is one of those minerals we should always have, but you have to have the right amount, right? You have to have just enough amount. This one, you don't do a big therapeutic dose the other way. You take exactly what you're supposed to per day. And because those in the plant-based diets are the ones that end up having issues because of those things, like plants and different legumes will actually block the zinc absorption. But that's where that quercetin comes in. So you could actually take some quercetin and it helps zinc absorption go the other way. Hopefully that wasn't too fast. I love some of these topics. So thank you guys for getting on and asking questions, Jess, especially you. This is great. Okay. Let me go to, I had one more. I promise you. All right. Oh, dang it. I want to give you a good one. I like ending them on positives because there's a lot of things we can go too much. All right. Oh, this one. I love this one. Okay. So this is something when you're struggling with water. Okay. So your water intake is struggling. And you're like, man, I hate water. I got to drink it. It's terrible, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So some people have an aversion to water for whatever reason. It's a true thing. So what is the forgotten side effect of water? Who wrote this? Oh, well, dang it. It just says by a Midwestern doctor. Okay. So I don't know. We'll read it and see how it goes. But usually it's by Dr. Mercola or something. This overlooked property may be driving how your tissues repair, your muscles move, and your cells survive. Once it fades, the signs of aging accelerate. A modern life speeds that loss. Okay. So let's read the rest of this article. Throughout history, science has discovered that water actually has a variety of largely unrecognized properties. This thing called vortex motion that are necessary for life to function. Many of these results from water having the fourth phase in between solid and liquid, where it behaves like a liquid crystal and is essential for biology. Liquid crystalline water provides strength and stability to the body, alongside creating barriers that protect the blood vessels and joints from wear. It also continually expands, creating the energy sources that drives the muscles and the nerves. It also spontaneously generates flows within the body and is responsible for many minute circulations within the body that otherwise cannot be explained, as they lack pumps. Okay. The formation of liquid crystalline water goes hand in hand with zeta potential, which is the electrical charge that allows substances within fluids to remain separated, which, when disrupted, triggers a wide range of diseases. Okay. That one is awesome. Okay. So what it's saying essentially is water, when we think of hydration. Okay. So when we do this, we think of hydration, but it's so much more than that. And that is the cool part. So it's saying basically muscle regeneration. If you're hydrated enough, it'll actually be a better situation. You have the cells within your body literally like need it for other cell repair, right? And so there is hydrogen water, and I think that one I have to do some more studying on before. And I've done an article or two on that because that's a new kind of trendy situation. Could be good for you. Could be a situation where it's just all hype. But once you go through it, it could be really good. But I just want you to focus on water in general. Now, one of the things I've been talking about a lot is, let's say a lot of times you feel like you're dehydrated all the time. One of the things I've noticed, if you take a little touch of like a very faint amount of sea salt and you actually place it in your water that you're drinking, a lot of times that'll be enough salt in you to actually maintain the hydration your body is really wanting. Because one of the things that was happening was we were so anti-salt in our diet because of all the heart conditions and all those kind of things that were happening, that we kind of got away from salt. But the problem is it's the kind of salt, right? Sea salt is a lot different. It has a lot of those trace minerals actually that you could do, and that's just enough to get you, going in that direction. So sea salt is fantastic, and you put just a touch where your water actually doesn't taste like salt. That can actually help you. I always used to laugh about that because Dr. Geimer would tell me. So Dr. Geimer grew up in Iowa where it was super hot all the time and he would hay all the time, right? And say they would take they'd throw these kids out in the hay fields for hours, days, all the time, right? They would actually stick salt cubes in their mouth so that when they drank water, they retained it. That's pretty interesting that the old farmers out in Iowa would do that because it allowed that hydration to come in there. So I always think of those kind of things, but the water hydration, such a beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing. All right. So we'll end it because of my one last article. Let's see if there's anything new. If there's nothing. Oh, I always look up. Sorry. Excuse me. One's on chiropractic. Little chiropractic research, because it's always fun to like throw the newest one. Okay, so this is a newer one. It was a study done on chiropractic adjustments for cervicogenic headaches. And so a chiropractic technique, significant long-term improvements in pain and function of the cervicogenic headache patients. Cervical, I hate how I call them adjustments. They call them spine manipulations. Terrible wording. I don't like it, but cervical spine manipulations outperform mobilization. So what they're saying is getting your spine actually chiropractically adjusted outperforms a lot of these different techniques, just stretching and all those kind of things. But adding the chiropractic adjustment plus these other things can be really, really good. Okay. Cervical adjustment outperforms mobilization, massage, and exercise for short term and disability reduction. Okay, so that's pretty cool. That was May of this year, so that's really cool. So what they're saying in that study is that when you get a chiropractic adjustment to your spine, we reorganize and get that innate intelligence to work properly, which will help all these other reactionary things like massage, stretching, all those kind of things. Those kind of things really take it over to the next level. And then you can add these different ones and hopefully you'll get out of the headache thing. Oh, Julie does do the salt. That's awesome. It works well. It does. And you don't even have to take a lot of it, right? It's just a pinch, and that's all you really need. So with that said, guys, I have gone over my 1 hour. This one was good. This one was interesting. I got to thank Gina. If you see her at the office, thank her for her TikTok. This was a really good one. I could talk about this stuff all night. Jessica, Julie, thank you guys. Aaron, thank you for including into the conversation. Man, I want to do it. I want to get such a good group that, one night we could just go over questions too. So that's my ultimate dream of this stuff. But from now, we will see you. Remember, Sunday night, 8:30, the 1% Tribe. We'll be going over something cool. And with that said, you guys have a great rest of your week. Put a little salt in that water.